welcome everybody. This is week 3 of the Art Gallery Workshop. We're at Paintsville High School. Can't really see everybody here. We're in Ms. Coleman's art class today. I thank Mr. Archer for having us here. Everybody say hello. Can't see you, but say hi.
Hi.
All right, awesome. This is week 3 of our workshop. This looks a little different than most videos that we posted. This is a good way, though. I don't have my back to you all today, so I'm talking directly to you. Usually I'm talking to the students. This video is going to be posted later on the holler.org and the Holler's YouTube channel, so everybody can check this out today. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, so schools participating will be able to check this video out. No problem. We'll put all that information out. So by the time you're watching this, you already know what to do, which is great. All right, so for week 3, we're continuing on with what we've been talking about now for a couple weeks. And it's important for us, let me grab this folder real fast. It's important for us to recap just a bit. I like to do that at the beginning. I'm not going to spend too much time doing that today because we're a little pressed for time today, actually. We have a guest speaker who's going to talk a little bit today, Bobby Sullivan, which I promised last week, so I'm going to leave time for him. So for the first 2 weeks, which we've already completed, if you remember the first week we talked about formatting a story idea. So this was just coming up with what am I going to talk about in my story? What's my story about? We looked at different types of stories. We looked at different types of approaches to storytelling with a large emphasis, a large focus on the language arts. Okay, and like I said, each time this workshop is 4th grade to 12th grade. So when I start talking about writing a story and the different parts of a story to 4th graders, I'm going to talk about that a lot differently than I will for you all, right? I mean, it's just obvious. So having to, approach this where I'm talking about story building and creating a story through illustrations, so such a broad range of age group, I have to be a little creative with that. Some stuff I talk about is not going to apply at all to 4th graders and 5th graders and 6th graders. All right, some things that I talk about to you all, you're going to think, I covered that back in 7th grade. But just remember, keep that in mind, that we have a large age range here, okay? Okay. I'm really hoping that we have teachers who are involved. I know some schools are putting students in a room and letting them run with it, and that's awesome. But for these younger grades, the younger kids, students, the teachers have to kind of take the information I'm sharing and put it into words that they understand, right? So when I say an antagonist, you all know exactly what that is in a story. That's your villain. So when you're talking about to younger kids, say, well, we need a bad guy, or a bad person, a villain, right? We need a villain, right? So that's what I'm talking about. All right. So in the second week, which was last week, we focused on the setting a little bit, and we looked at plot, rising action, and etc. We started talking about storyboard creation. So the first week you start writing your story. The second week you start doing storyboards. Now to do a storyboard, you have to know what kind of story you're writing about. Is it going to be a picture book, a chapter book, or a graphic novel? Because when you create your storyboards, it's going to look different for each one. If you do a chapter book, there's a lot of words, so you're telling a long story. But you need illustrations. So at the beginning of every single chapter of that chapter book, we need an illustration. And then inside of that chapter somewhere, it'd be nice to have one too. You don't have to do that. The page length for this, I want 12 pages at a minimum for children's books. At a very minimum, 12 pages. For a chapter book, I want a minimum of 50 pages. Okay? And then for a graphic novel, a minimum of 8 pages. Because there's a lot more panels and a lot more stuff going on in a graphic novel. Okay? You could go up from that if you want, but a minimum, there that is. So we're talking now about week 3, and this is we're continuing to build a story, and we're doing an emphasis today on the setting in a story. What is a setting? How does the setting impact your illustrations, from writing to creating the artwork? Okay. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the setting in terms of the illustration. So your background in your book. What does it look like? Different settings include in a submarine, on the moon, in the desert, in the jungle, in a school. It could be something as broad as on planet Earth and as minimal as in a closet somewhere or something, okay? So the setting, it could be very big, a big setting, okay? all the way down to a real specific setting. So these are things you have to think about. When you're writing your story, think about the setting because you're going to have to draw this later. And we'll cover this in a little bit. We have videos already on the Holler that deals with basic drawing techniques. There's a method called the Marvel method. It has not really anything to do with comics because creators use this across the board from Disney to game animation. So when game animators go to create a figure or a character for their game, they draw it out first, they know what it looks like. Then when they build it into a 3D program where you can see that on a screen, they use this similar method in this. It deals with basic shapes, taking circles, ovals, different just basic shapes, plugging those together in a certain way, almost like a stick figure, if you will, and then you draw over top of it. So you're laying a foundation down, a blueprint of what you're drawing before you start drawing. So if you looked at this octopus, this would be a circle, okay? These tentacles coming out would be an oval, an oval, an oval, and that would be an oval, but then you'd add this onto it, which would, of course, stop right here without the logo. But you can see it. If you squint your eyes at something, even the Mona Lisa, if you squint your eyes at the Mona Lisa, you see a circle for the head, you see an oval for the neck, and a large oval for the torso, right? That's all you'd have to draw, and you'd have the basic structure of the Mona Lisa, right? So anything you want to draw, think of it that way. Squint your eyes at it, see the basic form. So we've got videos up on that. We'll read a little bit about that today, but the videos will really help us. So we're doing an emphasis on setting. So we talked about the plot, the character, the conflict. We talked a little bit about theme last time, and I didn't really address theme a lot this time because there's a confusion when we talk about theme in writing, right? There's two types of ideas with theme, and students get this really, really mixed up a lot. The theme of your story is the idea that the author wants to try to get across to the reader, right? Okay? And we confuse this a lot with the general idea of a story. The general idea of a story is what's happening. See, there could be a big difference in that. What's happening in a story and what the author wants you to take from the story. You see what I mean? But let's not get too confused on that. So there's a broad range here, like we talked about. For instance, we talked about, for high schoolers, exposition. What does that mean? When you talk to a 4th or 6th grader, what is exposition? I think that's introduced in language arts in 7th grade, I think. But exposition is actually when your characters are introduced in your story. So that your exposition could be the first page of your story, the first page of your book, where you introduce the main character walking out their door to go to school. That's your exposition. The rising action sets up the conflict. See, that's a term that high schoolers will know that 4th and 6th graders like, what do you mean? And then the climax or the resolution, that's where the conflict changes. And typically, a character, like we talked about before the recording, typically when you end a story and you have resolution that happens, the climax as we call it, when that happens, typically a character is changed by what happened. So the bad guy could be like, oh wow, I've been bad. I shouldn't be bad, right? There's a change. And we talked about Darth Vader. Because here's the thing, I reference films a lot. Now we're talking about language arts. And film and language arts, totally different thing in a way. It's still story building, okay? But the reason I reference film is because, number one, I have no idea what books are being read in classrooms, what you're being asked to read in a class. It could be different across the board. Typically not. There's some things, Grapes of Wrath, stuff like that, we know is probably going to be introduced somewhere, right? And also on top of that, I have no idea what you're reading at home. So I don't know if you've read Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, right? I hope I pronounced that right. I have no idea. Now that's not a required reading in any classroom, but it's a book that's really popular with young adults. So, I don't know. So I reference film because there's some, I'm pretty sure everybody's watched Harry Potter, right? Okay. And maybe even read Harry Potter too, hopefully. But anyway, that's what we're focusing on today is going to be our settings. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth now. And I have notes up here to help me because when I'm talking to you, I forget things when I start to move forward. We're going to draw on a little bit, so don't worry. The theme, we talked about that, the two differences in theme, the general idea, and then what the author wants to convey. So when you're creating your story, think about that. Your book could be on self-image. Okay? Had a book at Betsy Wayne that got accepted into the publishing program last year called Feeny the Ballerina. And what this was about was a young girl who wanted to be a ballerina, She had really poor self-image, okay? She had problems in her mind thinking she was overweight, so when she went to the ballerina class, all the girls made fun of her, and then she realized, though, the teacher took her to her side and said, look, you know, you can do this as well as anyone else, and then she realized that, and she became a great dancer. So that was the book, right? So deal with self-image, too. That is a problem facing students. So when you're writing your story, think about that. Your story might be just about her wanting to be a ballerina, but the idea the author wants to convey is, look, it doesn't matter. We all come in different forms, shapes, sizes, colors, everything, right? So you see the difference in theme there, right? Okay, one is just someone wants to be a dancer, but the theme is we're all different. Okay, that's a good example of that. Let's see here. Okay, let's move on. I want to get through this so Bobby can actually have a chance to talk. We're going to talk a little bit about preparing to begin. If you feel overwhelmed right now, if everybody across the board, students in this classroom, if you've not even started writing a story, you're okay. But we're going to talk a little bit about ingredients. If you were to take what I'm about to share with you and literally take that and put this into, let's say you're cooking something on a stove, okay? And you have the stove here, and you're getting ready to cook something. I'm only going to put one burner on here, just because. And you have a pot sitting here, right? And you're going to put stuff in this pot, and you're going to cook it. You're going to let it boil, boil. And then after it boils, you're going to pull it out, and you're going to have something different than what you started with, using different things, right? So here's our little concoction, and it's going to be boiling. So what we need ingredients to put in that, and the ingredients that you really need, okay, is this. First, you need to write a story. You need something on paper, either typed out or written out. You need a story. So you need to write your story. That's the first ingredient. Without a story, you're not going to have a book, right? Okay. Once you have your story, you need to sit down, and you can make this list out. This is the ingredients I'm giving them to you right here. Sit down and write the name of every character in your story. Okay, just write the name of the character. Once you have the name written down, so you have your story, here's your story, then you have a name, a list of characters. Okay? Once you write your characters' names down, what you need to do is write just a couple sentences describing that character. Short, black hair, glasses. Tall, skinny, bald. Something simple. Just describe what the character looks like. Okay? The third thing you're going to want to do then, after you have your story and a description of your characters, is draw the character out on a piece of paper. Nothing too crazy. It's not going to be shown to anybody. Only you're going to see it. Draw the character out so that whenever you go to work on your book later, you know exactly what the character looks like. Okay? The next thing you're going to want to do is the storyboard. Now, how you do a storyboard is you take your story that you have written out over here on the side, one of your ingredients, okay? You lay that down, get a piece of paper out, and put it beside you. You draw a box, okay? If you're going to be doing a children's book, you'll draw a landscape. And we talked about what landscape is. It's more wide than it is tall. Box, just like that, right? And then you'll put right up above it, page 1. At the top of your box, you'll write out page 1. This is page 1 of my book, right? You got your story, you know what your characters look like. You start to draw out in this little box what is going to appear on page 1. So you have to read your story. It was an early morning in November when Charles walked out of his house to prepare to go to school. Page 1. You make a mark. That's going to be page 1. Okay? You can put more words on it than that. You can have 2 or 3 sentences, 4 sentences, means you want, but it's up to you. So you know what's going to appear. Charles was walking out of his house to go to school in November. It's fall, right? So you're not going to draw lush green trees, right? Probably going to draw some trees that maybe have a little brown in them, some leaves on the ground. Then you just draw a stick figure. Don't do anything special. All you want to know is where's the door going to be, where's the steps going to be, where's the sidewalk going to be, and where are trees if you have any. That's it. A quick little sketch of what's going to happen. Okay? Those are the ingredients that you need to create an awesome book. That's it. Storyboard, description of your characters, and your story. That's it. Now, how you prepare your storyboard is different for every single choice you have, from picture book to chapter book to a graphic novel. Graphic novels, of course, you're going to have a square that represents the entire page, something like that. Okay. At the top, you're going to have page 1, just like you did with the picture book. Okay. Then you have to think about, there's going to be panels on this. There's going to be a lot of boxes. Maybe not a whole lot. At least 4, right? You could separate this up into maybe 4. You may only have 3. You may have one giant box at the bottom. I have no idea what you want to do. But once you draw the panels that you're going to have on page 1, you read your story. Charles woke up. It was an early morning, and Charles woke up early. I'm not really reading this, by the way. I'm making this up. Charles woke up one morning early in November. He headed out for his first day of school. Okay? Instead of this being page 1 of your book, that might be the first panel of your graphic novel. You see what I mean? And then you do stick figures. Exactly how you plan for the picture book. Now you might say, why would I do a graphic novel over a picture book? Picture book's one giant drawing. A graphic novel could be, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, however many panels. Because you don't have to put color with a graphic novel. You could do a gray wash. You could do shading. How a gray wash is you take ink, put a little bit of water in it. You can put shadow and that kind of, if you wanted, but you don't have to. So you have, that's the one option that we gave. We don't want any picture books or chapter books to come in black and white. You have to color all those. But for graphic novels, it could be black and white. So that's a little less work on you, okay? So there's our ingredients, all right? I promise today we're going to be focusing on setting a little bit. And for that, I want you to think about this. When you're designing a page for your book, you have to show setting, just like we talked about the trees in November, right? But it's not really so much about what you're showing, as how you're showing it. Now, I don't want you to feel like you have to draw like some artist that, like I said, DC or Pixar or something like that. I want you to have fun with this. For the purpose of this example, though, I'm going to show you, this is a panel. This is a panel from a graphic novel, and this is the Joker, right? So the Joker is smiling in this panel, and I hope this kind of looks like the Joker a little bit. The Joker is smiling in this panel, and you notice though, when I show you this, that the panel is actually, all you can really see from this is going to be the face or the eye of the Joker. Okay, so how you set up your setting could be, it doesn't have to show landscape behind the character all the time. Think about unique ways to use the space you have, the square, what's inside it, to draw these things. Okay, this conveys mischief, it could be anger, it could be deceit, it could be, it's all negative stuff. You got this evil smile, this isn't happy, right? So how you draw your characters impacts your story. It goes along with your story, right? You don't want to draw a character who's really happy and they're getting ready to punch somebody in the head if they're a bully, right? So, which don't ever do that, by the way. Don't ever punch someone in the head, please. Okay, another setting that we talked about earlier, you could have a situation where you're introducing elements of your story, and you have to talk about the setting because the setting plays an integral part of the story. And there's no better description of this than situations where things take place in space, right? So if I had a situation where something was taking place in space, I might open up with a shot showing of the vastness of space, okay? To let your reader understand, this setting takes place in space. Space is very large. A lot can happen in space. So, and then show a ship, and that's my character. So how you decide to arrange your elements in your drawing is going to impact the reader when they check out your book, okay? Another situation with this. This could be, we talk about angles a lot. Now this is more for high school stuff, when you're in art, people who are participating, who are really invested and interested in the art aspect of this. We talk about perspective a lot. We talk about setting up your pages a lot, because here's what happens. If you draw the same character in the same way, from the same view on every page, if you had to read that book yourself, would you be bored? you'd be bored. It's the same picture every page. So think about how to arrange the settings. And one way that this is done really well is in this racing story. Something like, I think it's called like Top Speed or something, I don't know. But there's mountains in the background, okay? Talking about setting. The mountains aren't in super detail, they're just mountains. And I'm going to show the mountains by just having these lines go across the top of my page. I sketched this in a little bit to help myself. And then I'm going to show this road. And the road is a winding road. It gets smaller as it goes out, right? And the road actually goes across the landscape. So the reader sees this line. Now this could be anything right now. It could be a river, okay? It could turn into a giant snake, who knows, right? But then, when we introduce this concept of there being vehicles, right? These futuristic car-looking, turbocharged cars in here, we understand, okay, this is a racetrack, right? This is a racetrack, and they must be racing on the racetrack, maybe. But we can't really understand that by just drawing one car on here. We need to put two cars, right? So we put two cars side by side racing. And again, I'm just sketching this out really fast. All right, this is probably terrible, but I got a lot to go through. We have two cars here side by side now. This tells us, okay, these two cars are racing each other, right? You can draw the road underneath them, and then have this all blackened in, of course, like that. I don't want to put too much time on this, but you can see now we have two cars, they're racing. You may put these lines in here to show speed, okay, that they're passing by pretty fast. Now we know these two cars are racing each other. This is a road going out here, and we know something else. This road has a curve to it, and it's coming back this way, but the cars are going this way, so there must have been another curve over here, right? So how you arrange your drawings impacts the reader, the enjoyment of the book, right? Don't get too overwhelmed by the details. For instance, I had a student, I co-teach a class at UPike, University of Pop, and it's FMA 391, okay, and it deals with creating sequential art pieces, comic books. Sequential art is a big fancy word for one image after another to tell a story. Got you coming in a second, I promise. Okay? And in that class, we asked students to create a comic strip. And one student's like, I can't draw. I'm like, well, what are you familiar with? What do you know? I work fast food. I've worked fast food all through school, right? A lot of us are going to have to work through college, right? Or university. And I said, he's like, I'm writing my story on working at this fast food place. I'm like, well, draw someone from your story. And what he did, he drew a circle like this, and he put two eyes like this, and he put an ear on here, and he put hair, right, at the top, just like this. Really simple. Diary of a Wimpy Kid stuff here, right? And he put his shirt on like this, and the legs down here, right? And that was his character, literally, from the story, okay? And this is fine. This is awesome. This looks like a cool character, but you have to put that character in different settings, okay? Another simplistic kind of way of doing it would be, first, draw your circle out. We'll go over this more. There's my circle, just like he did, all right? The circle. I draw a line, just like he did, coming down for the body, right? And then I might do something a little different, not too different, though. I'll put a nose on here, like this. I'll put a couple of eyes behind it, just like he did, right? There's my nose, there's my eyes. Okay, I'll draw the mouth kind of open, like this, right? Up here, for the hair, I may draw, just like he did, it's on his head, like a helmet on it. But I might put a couple breaks in there, right? And then here, right, make it a little bit bigger. Bring it over the top. Up here, a couple of hairs sticking up. Okay? It's simplified, it's nothing too crazy, and it's not too far from where he started either, if you think about it, It's a circle, that's all. Now when you get to the body, just round it out more. Instead of drawing a line, do the same thing, a couple little triangles here to show a collar on a shirt, just like he did. And then the arms are similar, but just add a little bit more lines to it, that's all. And when I did this for him, he's like, oh, I get it, yeah. And he's drawing these characters. He's drawing them from different angles, and it's turning out really cool. See? But you're adding expression. It's not too far off from where we started. See what I mean? It's just thinking about it a little differently. All right? All right, so we'll move on now and use this example again. Your character in your setting. So if this was a page of a book, all right, and I'm going portrait this time. Sorry for my lines are so crooked. All right, here's the page in the background. You don't have to get too detailed with this. We'll just say this is at the ocean. Here's the beach. There's the sun. Okay, and then for my character, I have this character that I do in this series in my own time, and he's pretty simple. His whole body is shaped like one big oval, just like that. It's like a giant marshmallow or a baby onion. I mean, not baby onion, a baby carrot. Anyway, and then what I'll do though, after I have this, I like to draw big eyes on him. So I'll give a big eye here, an eye over here, a little nose. Okay, just like that. All right, his ears here, his hair, like that. Okay, and then his mouth, something like that. Now, see, his whole body is made up of this one shape, though, right? So you have here you have his collar, okay, and then his arm here, two lines parallel. You have the hand there, and his feet literally come down on his body, a line for the belt here, and then you have a leg here with a foot, and a leg here with a foot. See, it's not too complex. It's a simple drawing. But if you take a little bit more time and take your stick figure, draw it out a little bit more, that's what I really want you to focus on. Push yourself a little bit with this in your characters with your setting, okay? All right, really fast. Last thing I'm going to go over, then we're going to have our guest speaker come on for a little bit, okay? In this example, we're going to be showing two characters walking in a rainforest. Think about how to use your setting in your story. On this particular page, okay, it does not say anywhere that the rain from the rainforest comes down and drops down on the girl and she gets frustrated, okay? In the story, the characters are simply moving through the rainforest. That's it. That's all they're doing, okay? But in my illustration, I'm going to show that she has this problem with this rain coming down and it's hitting her in her eye, okay? That's not in the story. That's just how you can use your setting of your story to add to your book, okay? We have another little guy here, and I'll move out of the way in a second. You can see this. This little guy here, he's looking at this snake, right? You're in the rainforest, so here she is looking up. For a rainforest, you have a lot of foliage, right? You got a lot of this green stuff going on everywhere. So you may want to draw a whole lot of that sticking out in every place you can. From the trees, green here. And when if you were to go and color this in later, you know, it could be really impactful because the reader can say, wow, they really are in the rainforest. So I'm drawing the strips of water coming down because in the rainforest it rains a lot, okay? Here we have some more green. Path might go out back like this from them. Even more trees in the background. And then over here on this tree is this snake, right? And he's looking at this guy, and this guy sees the snake, and he's like, that's not good, right? And so we have our snake here. So there we go. So this is using your setting to add to your story. So in this, it could be that on the words on this page, and the words could be up here in this area, it could say something like, the two walked down the path of the rainforest looking for the temple. That's it. Okay? It doesn't say that he saw a snake, or it doesn't say she got hit in the head with water, but in our illustration, we see that. Okay? That's an example of using what's available to you to create that. You may say that's really detailed. I can't do that, but I did another version with stick figures, but I don't want to go ahead and draw that out right now because I want Bobby to have time to speak. But I want to stress to you this. Next week, we begin the actual production of creating the stories, okay, and the illustrations. How to do certain things with color. You could choose watercolor, paint, you could use colored pencils, all these different mediums you can use, okay? So you got to be thinking about that. If you do, let's say you do a book and you may do black wash or gray wash for color. That's fine too if you use it well. So be thinking about this now. So if you're behind, be sure and write your story, write out your characters, be sure to draw out your characters, and then get ready for next week for the storyboard portion. Do your storyboards, and next week for the illustration portions, okay? Everyone, if you're participating, you have to go and write this down if you really are participating. Everyone watching this, if you haven't already, theholler.org. I'll write it right here. And you got to listen, if you don't put this in, just like it says, I'm not responsible for what you'll find. It's not theholler.com, it's not theholler.net, it's theholler.org, okay? Org. Put that in, register, only takes but a couple minutes, and go and search for the Art Workshop Holler. It's easy to find, and join it, okay? All right, that's what I want y'all to be sure and do. Now I want to bring Bobby up here, because, listen, here's the thing.
Pardon the interruption, teachers.
Got a small
But the
announcement
fourth
here.
period speech, college speech students need to report to the computer lab today.
It's real important.
We've got about 10 minutes.
Okay. All right, Bobby. Bobby, he's written a book, okay? And in that book, I won't give too much away about it, but it deals with a very important thing facing all of us. And he, just like you, once upon a time, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, like I told you, he was a student, okay? And I apologize. So he relates to being a student, and he's going to talk about a few things today with us. And go ahead, take the floor, Bobby.
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate that, bud. I say good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Notice the difference? Notice that?
Mhm.
There's 15 students in here and 4 so-called adults, okay? I'm not talking about the student class. Anyway, see what I'm specifically saying, why I done that for is, you, as a person, can make a difference, okay? Difference. It's called self. It comes to you first. I'm here not to preach at you, but I'm here to encourage you. And to remember, we are here for you, okay? So, think about yourself first. Every morning, we look in the mirror, who do we see? We see us, and what we have to work with, okay? So you're not alone. He said, yeah, it's true. I'm not back in dinosaur days, but you know what? I'm proud to be from the old school, okay? And always remember something. I went through a lot, okay? And I thank God for it. That gave me the courage. Also, remember, back in the day at those schools, we had a share of problems, you know? Just like today, that y'all had so much more that you had to put up with. Technology has grown unexplainable, and it has went wild with you, okay? It's a good tool. It can be a bad tool, just like movies, stuff like that. But I'm not here, like I said before, not preaching, but trying to get a point across to you. So self comes first, okay? And always remember, you're not by yourself. When I was back in the old school, I moved around tons of times. I had to get used to different schools, okay? There are problems in a family. I take it on a personal note, okay? I'm not talking about nobody, but I had 3 stepmoms in between all this time, okay? So it takes adjustment. I don't know what y'all go through, but we all go through something. You are not alone. We're here for you, okay? Number 2 is time, okay? Time is something that we put off a lot, okay? Right now, you have time to be recognized by this program with KVET and your school teachers. We are here to help. I am here to help you. You can contact me or Christopher. You know, if you have any questions at all, we'd be happy to help you. I had kicked this idea around for the longest time through my book. And I can kick myself for putting off so long, okay? I had in mind to put together a motivational book way before I met my best friend here. But I I choose to do a children's book right now because it addresses a quality that we all should have to carry with us the rest of our lives, okay? It's quality that society has tried to rip away from us. But we can't allow that to happen. It starts with what? Us, ourselves. E. Okay, I'm spelling this out for a reason. E, educational. You are educational. You're educating tomorrow's kids, okay, with your books. This book ain't just gonna lay there. It's gonna go places. It's gonna help another person, another generation, okay? P, make progress today. If you're serious about this, we are here to help you progress, okay? Take pride in this project you have. Ask questions. We try to come up with answers for you. But it's your project, and we want to make this happen. Back in the old days, old schools, we didn't have people come to our school to help us with this. Yeah, we had workshops, we had art classes, but nothing like y'all have available to y'all today. So with this little pep talk I gave you, we spelled out STEP. S for self, T for time, E for educational, P progress. So now it's time for you all to step up. We are here for you, okay? That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
You stay right here. Stay right here for a second. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby's got some more he's going to share throughout this workshop. Okay, it's not this is the first and only time he's going to be talking to us. Go to theholler.org, watch the videos, begin writing your story, putting your storyboard together, and let's get something to happen through this. Like he said, we're going to help you to succeed in this if you want it, and you got to step up, right, Bobby? Okay. Thank you to KVEC, thank you to Paintsville High School, and thank you to the Holler, and see you all next week.
Thank you all.
All right, guys, look around here real quick.
All right.
There's Miss Coleman over there, our
Thank
art
you.
teacher.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts, too.
Hey, guys. Say hi, Meg.
You did a good job.